Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining me tonight. As you can tell, if you saw the intro part, I had a guest lined up he's a home inspector, and he actually talks about leadership and some really cool things that he's doing with kind of like a mastermind group that we do with Accelerator, where we take some people who want kind of more and a more of a more in-depth talk, and he does that with home inspectors. And fascinating guy, but he was not feeling well, so we had to call an audible to line of scrimmage, and that's what we're doing. So it's an open night. I have a couple of ideas to talk about. Got our first comment, and fit. I'm not sure. Fit like men. Not sure what that means, but thank you for your comment. So I got some ideas that I want to talk about, but I kind of wanted to open it up as well, like anything really business related or technical or personal, or any wins that you're having out there. I love hearing people winning. I love hearing people living their life or overcoming obstacles. This morning, it's never good when you get a phone call. Hey, hello, Joe, how are you? Um, Thanks for stepping in here. Get a call from my daughter this morning, and she's crying. She runs her own business, and she runs a couple business actually. Her and I run a chocolate business, but she runs her own interior design business. And it's translation. It's Ian from Scotland. Hey, Ian. Hope you're doing well, man. Looks like you've been living the life out there. I've been watching your ventures. Guys got the RV or the fifth wheel going, and you're out there. And Ian was just here in the States, went through some blue collar university with me, and he's got some big plans for Scotland. But before all the work, he was gonna go have some fun, and it looked like a lot of fun, man. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope things worked out for you. And it was just a blast having you guys here. We had so much fun with you and Sheila. So, so my daughter calls. She's crying. And I said, what's going on? So she sent me this email from a customer, and the email was rough, right? It was only over like a small bill, like it's this person owed her $500. But the way she laid it out in her paperwork or in her dispute of the $500 was like, it's the end of the world, the worst thing. And at first I was, I thought it was $5,000 at first, because I was starting to create a defense, because a lot of the stuff the girl talked about was totally crap. There was nothing. Let me say hi to a couple of people coming in. Josh Augsburger. Hey, Josh, great to see you, man. Yes, I can see you now. Josh just joined our team. He is going to be our manager in Milwaukee, and he's been training at our Charleston office, and he's now in Tennessee. He's training in Nashville, and we are going to, I'm going to have a meeting with him tomorrow. I haven't got to spend much time with him. I've been kind of crazy, but he's been out in the field learning how we do it. And thank you, Josh, for joining tonight. Teresa, how are you, girl? Been watching your Facebook stuff. Looks like you got a lot going. Looks like you're getting ready to do some big fitness thing. I don't know if you've already doing it or you're in it, but it looks like you're really living it up out there. And like I saw you said something about goals or something, and some girl with a ripped body. So yeah, go for it. Let's see see the progress. I have noticed as I got older, it's harder for me to do that. I can lose weight, but building muscle is it's gotten hard. So good for you. And thank you guys for joining us. So, it's young Ian. Oh, young Ian. So, okay. And Ian James. Sorry, that's what Ian J is. So that's Ian's younger son, who is growing up to be an amazing mason, and kind of his dad setting the business up with him. And he's third generation or fourth generation. I think it's third generation mason out of that family in Scotland. So great. All right. I'm going to wrap up this story with my daughter. So she calls me, she's crying, and I'm doing the dad thing. I'm of course defending and figuring out how to, tell her, how to defend this letter. And then at the end of it, I'm like, and then she said, it's $500. I said, $500. $500 isn't even worth your time to respond to this. This person has been bad news the whole time. Not only did she did work for my daughter did work for her, kind of a back and forth. And the work she did for my daughter was total crap, terrible. And then so we had letters back and forth saying we didn't get anything for the money we spent, blah, blah, blah. And so she fires back and don't want to pay this. And I won't go into the details, but basically she was crying. I said, this is one, there's no crying in business. But two, I said, you need to flip this. You're on the defense. She's saying bad things about you and you're taking it personally. The truth is, you know the truth. You know what happened and how it really went. You need to flip the tables on her and go totally back at her. Because they've got some other business tie-ins that she can't just say goodbye, $500 I'll never see you again. It's kind of a lot more, spider webbed up than that. And she basically needed to burn the spider web. And I helped her do that. I helped her through it the whole day. Call this person, do this, write this letter, do that, do this, do that. And then this will happen. And she called me back. She's like, you won't believe this. It worked completely. Everything you said, how it would work. Now, I can't blame myself. I can't take credit for this. I kind of knew how all these levers could be pushed to get a really good result after she's being attacked. And anyway, it was neat to see her suffering in the middle of the day and winning at the end of the day. And as a young woman, she's feminine too, but she's tough. She's tough as hell. And that's what we're supposed to be there for each other for, right? Is to lean on people when you're getting beat up and then share the wins, right? Share the wins with the people that are helping you. And so it was a good start to the day. It was a little rough. You don't lay in hello and she's crying. It's like, oh, no. But anyway, it's a good day. We had a great day. We had a lot of good things happening. A lot of good meetings today and just making stuff happen. So how was your day? What'd you guys get into? What was a win that you had today or a loss? What sucked? What didn't go well? And maybe we can break it up. I do want to say I've never done this before, but I want to have some giveaways tonight. I'm searching for topics. So I said, so I've got some stuff. If you will, the first 3 people to respond will get their choice. I need to say, I'll take it. And I've got a shirt. I got 2 shirts and 2 hats. So I got a SureFire shirt. I got some swag from stuff. I got a SureFire shirt. I got all the sizes. So tell me your size. If you want the shirt, I got 2 of those. And I got 2. I know Ian wears our SureFire hat all the time. And so I got 2 hats. I've got a white one and a leather patch one. So tell me what size. The one has accelerator on the back, but I'll still give it away. Let me know. Yep. So I can't tell what Yep is. Tell me who that is. And yeah, if that's a different person. So put your names in there and maybe will private message me. I can't, unfortunately, it won't show me who these people are. It says fake large, I'll take one. I can't see who that is. I can't see that or that. So tell me, if you don't mind putting it in the chat, I think you might be able to do a private chat to me or Facebook on Facebook Messenger and me who these are, so I can and your size. If you want a shirt, okay, here we go. Okay, that's okay. I don't know how to say your name, but man, that's awesome. And I can't tell if that says you want one or you're just saying hi. So give me some details, guys. I'm going to give these away. Here's a good one. My day was good. Apart from the stove, it didn't fit in the opening that we thought it would have, as it was a granite opening too small. Oh, the granite opening. Is that a deal? Is that a deal where you have to chip out the stone? Is that a deal where you have to order a different stove? Like, what's the solution for that? Okay, Josh, you got one. You got one by proxy. We will bring one, no problem. So the guy that had the stove problem, we sometimes when something doesn't go right like this, stove didn't fit. And as a business owner, you start to create like policies around not having that happen again, right? Like, what is the lesson from this? And so he's continuing. He says, basically, check the granite out until we get a big, so you're going to chisel it out until you get a big enough and make sure the lintel is structural enough, right? Okay, so you're going to open it up. Like sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes you can't do that opening. All right, here we got some good stuff coming in. I got Chris Turos from Kansas. He's a medium. Gotcha, medium. And so let me just back up. I got some nice stuff coming in. So on that, we started creating some more policies, right? We had policies that said you've got to take this measurement, you got to do that, you got to do that, and you get pushback from guys. But in that, I've also got on the top of my warehouse all these good intentions of stoves that didn't fit, liners that didn't fit, glass doors that didn't fit. Like, they want to complain, but they also, don't realize, oh yeah, I mean, it was just that one-off thing. Oh yeah, here's another one off and another one off and another one off. Oh, this didn't work. Like, you're lucky that you can chisel it out and make it work with a little more labor. No problem. My problem is stove wouldn't fit and you can't do anything about it. You have a full, granite or, marble front that you can't take off, or you can take it off, but it's going to cost you, or just things that just you can't make it fit. And then what do you do with that? For us, through Tim Reed's recommendation, we have a job walk form. It's called job walk form. If anybody wants that, email me, mark@ashbusters.net. I can send that to you. But basically, it's another checklist, and you can build that in a lot of CRMs. But this, asks, do you have to pull a permit? Showing all the pictures, all the access pictures, safety, all the measurements. What type of gas? We've messed that up so many times. Just some more details, and it stays and it flows with the job. It goes to the production guys, it goes to project managers, and then it goes to the guys. But the guys don't want to get it. I'm like, look, if you don't have any repeat stuff that doesn't work, we will do that. But you got to be careful of being too complex. If your business gets too complex, no, it will stop growing too. Like I've said this before, and I didn't say it the first time, but the more a business grows, the more complex it gets. But complexity is also the enemy of growth. So you got to be careful when you say the stove didn't fit. Now there's a new policy, a new piece of paper that you got to fill out to make sure it's right. Okay, how often is this happening? Do you really need a dang policy to fix it? Is it better just to understand what it is? So that's always a challenge. Policy or a one-off, and we just try to do better next time. And I want to hire smarter people. Hopefully you learn from it and you don't make the same mistake again. Man, I've got a ton of comments, so this is great. Thank you guys for helping me. Okay, Chris says he's a medium. Gotcha. We held a masonry class today. It turned out to be a lot. We had an entire week of CSI masonry, and now this week masonry training for the week. Wow, that is a lot. All in all, learning how to add in training during the year is something I'd like to learn about. That's so tough, Chris, because we run into the same problem, because sometimes when we need to do the training, we're not super flush with cash, right? It's in the slower time. But it's the time you have time. So there's a total balance to that. As my company grew, I had to bring training in more than I took training out. It was cheaper for me to hire a trainer. Like Dennis Dobbs is out there doing training. He's a great trainer. Several guys do in-house training. And as I grew, that just made more sense. Bring the trainer in, pay his expenses, and do something at my facility, and it got better. But you're right. I mean, I just had this talk with our financial guy, and he's like, man, you're spending a lot of money on training. Like, well, what do you do? I mean, you have to train a lot. You have to spend a lot on training, but when times are a little slower, it's tough, and you can't train when you're busy. So it's a battle. I still battle with, Chris, myself. I do try to spread it out. And I do sometimes limit how many people go to training. Sending small groups to specialized training for me was better than shutting the whole company down and sending everybody. Same with gas. When I first started the gas division, I trained everybody on gas at first, and then we didn't have enough gas for everybody to be really proficient in it. So I learned it was better to have one guy very well trained, and then when he's super busy, then another guy. Instead of cross-training everybody on everything, I specialize a lot more as I grow. So I don't know if that helps, but that's how we did it. John White, hey, off topic. I'd like to say we've probably done about 25 estimates over the past 3 or 4 years for apartment building cleanings. Should we discount these? So we discount these cleanings to try to get the other work. So this is a great topic, kind of timely, actually. We just landed maybe one of the biggest dryer vent cleanings we've ever had 2 days ago. It's a $40-some thousand dryer vent, and we almost never get them. Like when we go to bid them, we're always too high. And so my estimator, before we went out there, said, this is the third time I've been to this complex. They ask us to come out every year because we do their chimneys. but they wanted us to do our dryer vents. And I said, just ask the question. Because we're normally, I mean, we don't really discount dryer vents much for us. We're normally, I shouldn't say it, we do for our apartment complex. We're normally 289 in a home, and in apartment complex, it might be 150. But there's people out there doing it for 30 and 40 bucks, and they're running a line in from outside, and they're not moving the dryer. And it's a much faster way to do it. And it does some work, but the best way is from inside, pull the dryer, clean it, service it, put it back. But it's a pain in an apartment complex. So we offer a little bit a discount. But this time I said, just ask them, ask the question, ask better questions. So when he went in there, before he proposed, he said, look, we've been out here a couple of times. What number am I why don't we ever get these? And what number am I looking at to get it? Believe it or not, the number was not that much lower than we were bidding. It was barely lower, like maybe $10 a unit. And my guy said, I'll meet that for 200 dryer vents. Yeah, I'll knock $10 off if we can get it. And they said, great. We got a $40,000 deal for just asking better questions. And to your point, John, when you leave a bid, you can say, look, if you're just looking for the cheapest guy, you probably already say this, we're not it, but I want to be competitive. So if you would give me a second look at the bids coming in, maybe I can do something. Maybe we can, work around my schedule or do something, especially you got to do them fast to make any money. You can't parse them out. So give me another chance at it to work with it. I will say same thing happened to me recently with a big contract for powder coating. It was $1 million powder coat contract. And we'd been doing a lot of work for this vendor, but they did not even ask us to bid it because they knew they could get it cheaper from China. And I was pissed at the meeting. I said, you gave $1 million bid contract away to somebody and you didn't even give us a chance here in the US to bid it. And he's like, well, they're so much cheaper than you. I know, but I said, I know, but there's probably some things we can work on, especially with $1 million contract. And I could get it to you faster. I could do things for you, and you're buying American. So it was a kind of a contentious meeting, but to your point, John, ask the questions. What can we do? How can we be competitive if you want us? One of the questions is, why did you choose us? Right. I love this. I love this when somebody is pushing back on price. They're like, if they say you're a lot more expensive than somebody else. A friend of mine that does roofing says this. He says, yep, I understand. Just if you don't mind, tell me why you chose us. And then they'll say 2 or 3 or 4 things. Hey, my neighbor recommended you. I've used you before. You guys got great Google reviews, the things. And like, yeah, is there any other reason you called us, or you called us first and how's it come out? And it could be a lot of things. And say, well, some of those reasons you called us are why we are more expensive. That is exactly the reason. We have a great name. We have a great reputation. We do good work. We are a little bit more expensive. And then I thought that was an interesting way to turn it. Now, if they say, well, my wife had me call you, but I'm going to use my brother-in-law, you're not going to win that. So no, yeah, great. Use your brother-in-law. If you have any problems, call me. Or if you get stuck on a situation, give me a call. And that's how we handle that. All right. So let's see. We have bought many caps and chase covers that didn't fit. Yeah. Yeah. Helps to have a metal fab, but it helps to have a policy for that. Now, I'm going to tell you what we do. You may or may not like it, but if you make one that doesn't fit, it comes out of your paycheck. Not the 100%. No, we pay commission, but not the whole cost of it. But whatever you would have made, you got to pay for it. It's coming out. You can't make money on the second one. And hopefully through that disincentivization, they quit making that mistake. But there's times, and I made the mistake too. Chimney was way out of square, couldn't figure out something, but it happens. Tape measure glitched. I mean, I've had ones that the number was way off. You fat fingered it if you're typing it on an iPad, and it happens. I've seen some people give like $1,000 credit for the year. Like you have a number that you come up with that you're like, you can make this many mistakes in a year. And then after that, we're going to have to work out some kind of repayment or some kind of a process. You can't ever take more money than to make everything like that. I don't mean that, but there's got to be some kind of penalty. I don't know what it is, but for us, it's financial. You're going to have to help me pay for it. This was your job, and I did my job and provided the part. and it didn't fit. So who has to pay for that? To me, it's super fair. If I'm going to pay you super well to do the work right, I can't pay you again to do it once you've messed it up. It was clearly your fault. So we have a little bit of a kickback on the money if you mess up your job. Um, Facebook user, my heart is great. I wear it all the time, but back the plastic bit of broke. Quite sad how the heart. Not sure. He's talking about his hat. I got you. This is Ian. Ian, you're gonna have to use a better translator. Yeah. Okay. So you had the hat. The plastic broke, which is the back. Okay. I need your address. I'm gonna send you another one over to Scotland. We have lifetime warranties on our gear, and all you have to do is tell me, and I'll send you a replacement. So we'll talk about that. But I got to get you another hat. You're a great ambassador for us. CSI review class all week. Oh, this was Chris. It's a lot of prep. Oh, no, this isn't Chris. Review class all week and masonry class this week. It's been a lot to prep for. Any advice on how to get in-person training during the year? All of our team uses SureFire, and that's amazing. Thank you. Hands-on training is very important. Well, absolutely. In fact, hands-on training to me is the best. And SureFire online training is a good supplement to all that. When you can't go, when you don't need to spend the money, it's a big money saver. But it's in person, really good training. You can't beat it. But the question was, how do you get a person in-person training during the year? So I do know my friend Dennis Dobbs, who worked for me for a long time. He is doing, and he's been a friend of mine for much longer. He comes to your place and trains your guys on inspections, on installations, on things like that. And I think there's a couple individuals that come to your business and train, like Alan Rush. He comes and does personal training, ride along training for sales, and that kind of thing. Some guys do personal technical training and come to you. And I would highly recommend talking to those guys to bring them in, because especially if you have something you need to make sure you tell them to train on and your guys want to learn it. I find that to be a very good use of my time. I've never lost money in training. I've either gained a little bit or gained a lot, but you always gain something. You learn something from it. Let's see. Cleaning and video inspection chimney. Not sure what that means. All right. I hung out with Dennis last week. Awesome guy. Awesome trainer. Oh, thank you, Lou. That's a good promo for Dennis. Dennis is a great trainer. He is one of the first guys who came up. He's really the originator of the master program at CSI. He had this idea for years. We need a master program, him and John Pilger. And we talked about it a few weeks ago when Dennis was on the show. He helped create that program. I mean, he's that kind of guy. And if you need, he's one of the best guys on inspection and process, and a super nice guy. And so thanks for that. Yeah, Dennis is a guy that come to you, and he's got a pretty open schedule. He really just launched this training platform he has called CHAR Training, CHAR. And he needs customers too. So, sometimes it's best to train right in the middle of busy season, because you can put the information right to work. Sometimes if you train during slow season, you got a gap between the time you can use it and you may forget it. But man, if you bring him in the heat of battle, he's going to be able to train, live fire. So I highly recommend giving him a call. Let's see. If you're looking for more support with your local villages, how would you go about that? So I don't really know your process over there, support for villages. I'm not sure what makes you get support or what makes you lose support, other than, in the US, Google reviews, what other people say about you, your brand recognition, your name, your reputation, Facebook's, Instagram, and the little ways, street fairs, shows, festivals. We do trade shows. Like, we are out into the public. We do, fundraisers. And for us, having goodwill as a company, I think a couple of guys have won local awards. Like, we won a local thing that was like what's it called? Next Door Neighborhood Favorites. So we try to do neighborhood, like Facebook stuff, neighborhood group chats, and some of these chats, and we try to be mentioned and talk in that. And so I don't know how that works for you in villages, and how, because I know, like in Sweden, some of the villages, or some of the way they do it is where you get the contract for the whole village. A chimney company basically has the contract. and they service the chimneys in that area. You can go outside the company that has a contract, but it's not recommended. I think you guys are way more free market than that in Ireland. And your best thing is who you are. You're third generation. You've got an amazing name, and you just talk about how that you're not that's how you've benefited. That's how you've been three generations, right? Most businesses can't last one generation. You must be doing something right to last three generations, and you guys are doing something right. So more pictures and videos of your work, more especially videos of the details and of the amazing amount of work. Because if I watch some amazing video and a guy's amazing, he can probably do my simple work, right? But if you're just showing simple work, you might not call him for the hard work. I have a friend that is a carpet cleaner, and he may be one of the wealthiest people I know. And he's a one-man operation as a carpet cleaner. I've talked about it a few times. He's kind of crazy, but he is the best carpet cleaner. And in fact, he does the takeaway clothes all the time. If you're trying to hire him, he's like, yeah, if you want cheap, I am not him. I mean, I am so far from that guy. You do not want me. If you need a quick clean in that room, no. But if you need that medically cleaned where it's brand new and you'd eat off of it and it's better than what came out of the factory, because I'm going to strip all those nasty chemicals back out of it, but it's going to be beautiful. Like, he's that guy. He wrote the manuals for the Biltmore Mansion in North Carolina, in Asheville. He wrote the manuals on how to take care of the tapestries and all the carpets in that house. He wrote the manuals for how to take care of all the carpet and upholstery for Royal Caribbean on all the cruise ships. They fly him over to Italy or Finland or wherever they're going to launch a ship from, and he trains the whole crew on taking care of the carpets, and then he leaves. He's a one-man operation. He has nobody that helps him. He just sets them up, gets paid crazy bucks, and he just works on. He's the most amazing guy. So I'll give you a quick example. He had a tapestry that he had to clean in this lady's house. $2.1 million tapestry hanging on a wall, right? I mean, who has? I've got one of those over there, but I mean, a $2.1 million tapestry hanging. Well, he charges 8% of the value. It has to be valued first, and then he charges you 8% of the value of it to clean it, because he has a special tank that it's an emergent tank. He has special insurance he has to get to take it, to haul it. And some of the stuff he only buys for that one thing. It's only used on your tapestry and nobody else. He doesn't keep cleaning with it. He does this very special. Man, he cleaned this crazy couch, like an $80,000 couch, and he charged him $8,000 to clean it. He said, Mark, these people will not pay, Stanley Steamer or some local guy $300 to clean their $80,000 couch. They want to pay me $8,000, and then they want to tell their neighbors they paid $8,000 to clean it. He doesn't need many customers like that, So my point was, Ian, to become a true expert, like world class, and money and filling up your schedule is never a problem. I love these conversations. Best regards from Croatia. Hey there. I love Croatia. Love Croatia. Me and my wife went there with some friends last year, and man, that's one of my new favorite places ever. So thank you. I love the chimney, the top hat in there too. John White says, we bid a couple months ago for the apartment building on the walls. We did not get the cleanings, but just got the walls. We sold over 300 fireplace walls. $65,000 job. I feel like we're missing a lot of this work because I'm overbidding the cleanings. You might be. I mean, it's easy to overbid because some of these guys are so damn cheap, and they don't run cameras, and they don't do full inspection. Some of them don't even get on the roof. Some of them don't clean out the fireplace. So like, we ran into a guy that was charged like $15 per chimney. He just had a Viper. I don't think he had even brought a vacuum in. He brought like a tarp and covered the fireplace, didn't clean out the ashes, ran it up, ran it down, and $15 next one. He could do like 100 in a day. Well, that's not who we are. I would never take on all that liability and all that possibility to go wrong. You bump anything in the house and you've lost, so many things. So I don't like that work very much on these apartment buildings and all these things, because it's just a race to the bottom. How can you be cheap? And we get a few of them, but we're still really highly priced. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it. So if you want that work, ask the questions, and they'll tell you. Just say, hey, I'm bidding this. I haven't been getting them. Can you tell me how close I am to you don't have to show me the bid, but how close am I, and what am I getting? I'll tell you another example. We lost a big a gas log servicing for like 200 fireplaces, and all the gas logs needed servicing. And we found out the other company left out a couple key things that we were doing. Like for one, we would check the pilot assembly, we would check the pressure, check the voltmeter. We would then change the embers, clean off the sand, change the embers, refresh everything, clean the logs. All these guys were doing were wiping the logs off and checking the pilot light. Well, the apartment complex thought it was basically the same thing. One service was 99 bucks and our service was like say 199. Theirs was 9. I don't know what it was. It was a very different level of service. So John, to your point, ask them what level of service they want. And if you can provide it and feel good about it, and I would do that. If you can't, walk away from it. If not, what are they paying for that level of service that you can provide to, and make a business decision if it's worth you jumping into it. That's how I do it every day. Is it worth our effort? Is the juice worth the squeeze? We make that decision. All right, so hope that helped. Josh says, with chase covers, never trust the builder of the chase. Measure on all sides. If you add your measurement, add to your hole position. That's usually the biggest mistake. Yeah, builders and out of square and them giving you your measurements, you really can't, because you don't know if they gave the measurements tight, if they gave the measurements with space on it, and then because we always add space. So yeah, you have to double check your work for sure. You should done this more. It's great. I should just have open conversation. Yeah, it's actually working great. Do you see the use of drones becoming more popular for checking roofs, doing estimates, etc.? Absolutely, gosh, we fly 4 drones a day. We got some of those basic licenses, and roofs are getting so much harder to get on, and we're talking safety and we're talking danger. And we fly drones all the time, especially in the estimating process or the early estimating process. And some of it, I just don't want my guys to risk it for a basic setup or some basic level of inspection that would require, roof scaffolding or a lot of safety gear, when we can just fly up there. These drones are so controllable and they're so high definition, take full video. And yes, I definitely see those as being part of that. Now, I will say one thing. Don't ever fly a drone over an open flue, right? Don't fly the drone right over the fireplace flue hole. You can dust the house. Now, I did not do that, but I do know a friend that did it. They had lasers on the bottom of their drone. They were trying to take measurements with the drone, and they had a kind of a cool setup, and they were trying to actually fly those lasers over the hole, and that just all that downwash caught the ash and dusted the house. So yes, stay away from the flue hole if you can, especially if it doesn't have a chimney cap on it, which this one didn't. John said that's great advice. Thanks. You're very welcome. Any experience with Xactimate for insurance jobs? Yes, we have some experience, and I've gone through some classes. Xactimate's a funny thing. I used to hate it. Mainly when you hate something, a lot of times you don't understand it very well. So Xactimate, I'm like, man, all these prices are crap. All these prices are way too low. These prices are, man, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm not going to follow Xactimate. Well, Xactimate, so we went through, Corey, who works for us, went through a week-long course on Xactimate and how to do it. And they told him, he said, look, Xactimate is just an average of your area of what people have turned in your field. The problem with chimney Xactimate is nobody uses it, so therefore the numbers are way off. They're not submitted by chimney companies. Therefore, it's just an average low. They don't make up prices. They take what's being sent to them, they put it in their program, and it averages. If we could get more chimney guys to use Xactimate and make those numbers get reported up, all of our numbers will go up. So yes, and then we learn how to use Xactimate and kind of plus up to get the numbers we need. But man, when you can speak the language of the adjuster, when you speak it in and put it in Xactimate form and hand it to the adjuster, he doesn't have to do much at all. And he stamps the job and say, go do it. Kurt Felgemacher Chimney, he's on SureFire probably a year and a half ago, talking about how he did Xactimate. and he gets a lot of work. He gets a lot of things paid for on Xactimate. And a lot of times we forget to add like floor coverings and dust control and, extra walking for this or setups. And, you can make the money up in all the things they will pay for, but you don't write it up in your estimate. Secondly, when you write it up in your language, the adjuster has to change the language that you wrote it and make it fit Xactimate. And a lot of times it gets all messed up right there. So if you will speak in the language of Xactimate, he doesn't want any more hard work. He doesn't want to learn chimneys. He wants to go, yep, check, go do it. If we turn one in Xactimate, there's been a couple we've had to fight because, man, we jack our Xactimate prices up because there's a lot in there. And we make more money on our Xactimate job for sure. But sometimes they push back and then we have to justify it. But in general, yes, Xactimate is a no-brainer. If you'll go to the classes, you'll learn it and you'll use it on all your insurance jobs, you'll get more insurance jobs. And you just charge what you need to charge and just go around the Xactimate process. If you need help, you can reach out to me. I can put you in touch with our Xactimate specialist about how he learned to use it. And so that's a great question. Clients love drones. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Some do. We haven't really crashed one. We've had problems with them sometimes. I haven't crashed them that I know of. I've had to replace a few drones, motors going out, and certain things happening. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool, and it's just less dangerous. That's just all there is to it. I'm all for the things that make my guys not have to risk their lives for something that I can get in another way, whatever that is. What kind of drones do we use? So we use the DJI Mavic 3s, I think. I can get them at Costco, like $450 at Costco. They're real little. They're about this big, and they're awesome. They work. They're a little workhorse. Fly it up there, and get what you need. And yeah, we use them. We have 4 of them. We fly them almost every day at some level. Now, if we can get on the roof, get on the roof. But in Nashville, all these houses are being built with these crazy roofs, crazy pitches, and just to get up there to look at the top of a chase cover. I mean, I don't think so. So yeah, we use them. You just don't want to overuse it. Ian James Patterson for the hat. Yep. Have your dad send me your address and I'll get it out in the mail to you guys. Cool. I've gone through a bunch of questions and it's been great. Hopefully good information back. I did want to talk about, and keep the questions coming. I'll keep reading them, but I had a fallback plan to talk about a vision of a company. Cause I always like to, I forgot. I have a little alcohol drink tonight. So cheers, guys. This is I like amaretto sour. So it's amaretto sour ice, not much to it, but kind of a refreshing little summer drink. I like it quite a bit. But I wanted to talk about vision of where you're going in your life, where you're going in your business. And a lot of it, your whole life is what you plan and what you see and what you do about what you see. And I thought, hey, John, how are you, buddy? Going to see you. Me and John are going over to Europe coming up. He is the chairman of the board for the CSIA. And one of the things we do at CSIA is, and NCSG does it too, but we do this thing called ESHFO, European Chimney Sweep Federation. And it's basically a meeting of everything. And I've been lucky enough to be the U.S. delegate for the U.S. for several years since being president, president. And then John's new president. So on the technical meetings, we send a contingency, and even on the business side, we send a contingency. But sometimes individuals pay for their own way over to be part of it. But you make a lot of friends, and John's getting ready to go over and see how this all works. And we learn a lot from each other, and mostly friendship and kinship. And they send people over to the CSIA, and we try to send. John Pillager goes over there a lot. So cheers, John. What are you drinking tonight? Looks like Keith Gaudette's got a maple old fashioned. What's the maple part? Josh has got a Miller Lite, of course, Wisconsin boy, of course. What's the maple part of the old fashioned? I will say something about Keith. Keith is a hell of a motorcycle rider, man. I tried to lose him on the back of the dragon, and you can't lose old Keith, baby. He's right there with that BMW. He's got a fantastic bike. We had a great time. I'll say no cheese curds in Nashville. Yeah. I've heard there is one place, but nothing like what you guys have. You guys have the squeaky curds and milk comes out of them. And I've been given those by some guys up in, and they are good. My gosh, you deep fry those things. And I don't see how everybody doesn't weigh, 500 pounds up there. So John is excited. Yeah, John, you're going to love it, man. It's now the meetings are kind of boring because every meeting has to be done in two languages, right? They'll speak in German and then we'll have an English translator. So if you thought, Russ Dimmitt was boring to watch, you wait till you get, a guy talking second and then but it's not about that. It's about the breakfasts. It's about the dinners. It's about the excursions. And we learned some things. What you really learn, John, and you'll know this, is that, man, it's just different. The business is so different over there versus here. And I've said this for years. I think technically they have a lot of great things, especially in Germany. Really great things, but we're better at business. We're better business guys because we have an open market, way more open. And so Chuck Hall and I have gone over there and taught business in their courses, in their some of their stuff. And, they teach us technical, but we just, there's some commonalities, but we can't, we just learn from each other. It's a brotherhood and it's an honor to get to do it. So John, you're going to love it, man. It's going to be so fun. And hopefully you're doing some stuff afterwards around Austria, because we're going to Austria and I'm staying after. I'm going to rent a motorcycle and ride the Alps again for a couple of days. It's always a dream of mine to ride a motorcycle in Europe. And the last couple of years I've gotten to do it. And it's just been, it's so that kind of falls back into the vision of what you want. I've said some of these things that are finally coming true a long time ago. And of course you say them and nothing happens, nothing changes, but you made a little movement toward it. And it's neat when it pays off. Keith says, Wayne Gretzky, no, number 9. Oh, it's Wayne Gretzky, number 99, maple cask whiskey. Looking forward to the next ride. Oh, cool. Okay. So it's already in there. It's in the maple cask. Gotcha. I didn't know if you put like maple syrup or something in there. And then John says, I learned a lot of difference from the Germans, Schornstein figures. That last visit last month. I can't wait to see it in person. Yeah. It's very different. It's totally different. And Schornstein figure is a chimney sweep. And then Schornstein figure Meister is a master chimney sweep over there. So over there, the master, it's like a chimney master, or it's like a postmaster. You have an area that you're responsible for all the chimneys, and it's a government job, and you take care of everybody's chimneys. And then you have maybe 1 or 2 apprentices work for you, but that's as big as your business is. You just do the work. But yeah, you learn a lot. And they're also really going away from fossil fuels. So they are focused on what they call warming pumpings, which is heat pumps. And I don't think, anyway, that's their deal and good luck with that. But a lot of their training is moving toward heat pumps so that they have a job. It's a little bit scary for the industry. And I'm not sure if they shared that with you, John, about the kind of nerve-wracking change in the government that's kind of affecting the chimney sweep industry. But yeah, man, it's gonna be great. You're gonna be hooked. A lot of good people, a lot of really good people. So I want to talk. Here he said something else. They said if you show up at a house and they don't let you in and come back, you can come back with the police, and they have to let you in. Quite a change from it. Yeah, it's a requirement. It's a government stipulation, and yes, because there's 2 sides of this. They're responsible for any fires in their area. Like if there's a fire, if you watch any of their videos, the chimney sweep goes to the fire. If there's a house fire, you see chimney sweeps. I've seen videos of chimney sweeps right up there with the fire department running a brush down the chimney to clean it while it's on fire. Like if there's a fire in your district, you're called out, and you sometimes have to run as a chimney sweep. So different from here. We're like, yeah, call somebody else. We'll see you, when it cools down. But over there, they're responsible. So if you won't let me in and I'm responsible for your chimney, I've got to have some kind of authority to let me in and make sure I can do my job. And secondly, they have to provide safe access for them. A lot of times they don't have to have ladders. So you have to have safe access to get to the top of the house. And if it's unsafe, the chimney sweep can also say you must fix this so it can be properly looked at. But they really don't have too much problem with it. But they have more power than we do. But they also don't have the other side of the power, which is if they make a recommendation to fix a chimney, they also can't fix the chimney themselves. If they have the power to shut you down, they also, it's a conflict of interest to be able to then, hey, if you buy my product, I can get you working again. So for me personally, I would never want that kind of power, because it just limits you to sweep and inspection and some basic repairs. But for us, we sweep and inspect, but then we have free marketing. Do whatever you want, but if you want me to fix it, my repair crews can fix it. So to me, that's why we have much different businesses. But great stuff, John. Josh, any suggestions on failed cast in place liners? Man, I'm not the right guy, other than I've torn one of them out and it's backfilled with like sand or some crap. We just used, the same thing we knock out flue liner with, the knockers, and beat it out. But that's a whole different thing. I'm wondering why you have to take it out, why it's failed. Some failures in those, believe it or not, are okay. Some of the manufacturers say some of those stress cracks are self-healing. You have to really get back with the manufacturer and determine what is a failure and how they want to fix it. So I can tell you, Isokern, when they'd have a failure, they had actually, and somebody else, I think it was Superflu or Guardian, one of them had something that was very similar to heat shield, that you basically resurfaced the liner, the surface of the liner, to get it back in code. So a couple of them have a resurfacing product that I know Isokern had one, and I think Guardian had one as well. So we could talk about that too. I'm not an expert at that by any means, though. Keith says, what would you recommend for getting a large number of inspections, 15 guys, up to speed on quoting masonry repairs like grind out repoints, replacing a few rows of brick, top, etc.? So one of the things that we do was called, bid the job, which is what you do is you take whoever your best estimator is, and you have them go out, take good pictures, and bid the job there. And then you show that bid on a big screen to everybody, and you show, maybe even take videos, and you don't tell them how to bid, but you help everybody see the same jobs and try to bid what they saw, and then together, and then work as a group to see why there's big differences. So we called it bid that job. So we put it out there, and then and I need to do this again, but you bid the job and see what was happening. I'll tell you another story I did. We were so all over the map on bidding of what we saw that I set up a kind of a sting operation on my own company. I had a customer that was a good friend of mine, and I set up video cameras in his house. And I think at the time we had 10 guys. And I brought each guy there individually and had them do the whole thing, videotaped them, and watched how they responded and what they found. The guy that had been going to his house every year found almost nothing wrong. I went to the house right off the bat and found about $7,500 worth of work, and found maybe 10 problems. Another guy, one of my guys, found one more problem than I found. He found all what I found and one more. The damp, or the back wall wasn't poured flush on the back for the smoke chamber, and it was hollow, and I didn't catch that. But anyway, we had $8,000, $7,000 to $8,000 worth of work. I was all over the map on bids, from everything from nothing's wrong to that, like everything in between. Well, I had that customer come and do a meeting at my company. So he showed up, and he said, "Hi, I'm Gary. I'm your customer, and I know all you guys." And they're all like, "Yeah, we did your house," and everybody did their house. One helper happened to be on the same job twice, and he's like, "I think we were just here like a couple of days ago," but only one guy caught it, but really nobody caught it. So I said, "Guys, you guys all bid this job. I'm going to hand you your inspection reports back, and we're going to go over all the pictures and show what we all found. And you're going to look at your report and see what it is." Oh my God. I just took the air out of the room. So we showed his pictures, and we went slide by slide and showed all the pictures of what it was. And everybody then had to go over the report and basically talk about what they found and why they didn't find other stuff. It was a huge shakeup. There was some of my guys were mad at me, but everybody understood why I did it. And that was right before, not a plug, but right before we had SureFire. And I realized, and other guys have other training processes, I just realized we weren't training well enough to make it was big dog, little dog training. One guy kept teaching another guy, and it just got watered down all the way down. And several iterations later, the guys were not doing a great job of inspecting. So now we have people that review all the pictures, we review all the pictures, review all the bids. We have processes that are much better. But to your point, Keith, have somebody bids jobs and shows people bid them, and then let them bid them with guidance and try to work that way. And if anybody else has other ideas, I know John does a lot of training, maybe he has ideas on that too. Hope that was helpful. John says tile breakers forever until you can maybe shave off enough to put a liner in it. Right. Yeah, great point. Shave off enough to get a stainless liner in. If you can beat it down enough, man, that's like pounding rocks at Leavenworth right there. That can be a rough job. Yeah, I don't love it. Maybe put a wood stove in it with a 6-inch liner. Hey, Joe, how are you doing, buddy? Joe's not in the chimney business. He's a fellow entrepreneur. And I don't think he's in the chimney business. He does other things, but nice. Thank you for joining us. Hope all your ventures are going well. John says, Mark, when they broke into my truck in Nashville last week, they took my key fob for my truck. The locksmith came out, charged me $1,100 for 2 key fobs. The first thing that came to my mind was Ashbuster's key fobs, 1,000% margins. Oh my gosh. You must have one of those nice trucks, John. That's one of those penalties for nice new stuff. But dang, that's a lot of money, man. I'm so sorry that they did that to you in Nashville. I've never had that problem, but they saw your license plate and they saw that you're a Yankee, and you're a target. So just kidding, man. I wish I would have seen you. I know we were trying to hook up at the chocolate shop, and I know you had those games going on, but sorry about that, man. Ashbuster's key fobs. I don't hate it for sure. John says, when they broke into my truck, oh, that's what same thing. So Keith said, that's awesome. Thanks. Yeah, maybe it'll work. The more of that team effort bidding at first and asking questions of why'd you bid that? One of the problems we have is how long do you think it'll take, right? If you're, say, tuck pointing a full chimney, how long do you think it takes? Or even building a new chimney, a tear down and rebuild, crews work at different speeds. Well, my estimators have to estimate at what speed, the fastest guy, the slowest guy. And one of the biggest things is time frames. So a lot of times we bid in half days. So you got 4-hour time frames or 8-hour time frames, and you break it up that way. That way there's, there's kind of some flexibility, and maybe some other guys have different ways. We have a per brick charge a lot of times, per brick to do it, but speed and timing of the bid is one of the harder things. But to get everybody to talk and think the same is the way we would get 15 guys to do it. I can't tell if this is going great. Thank you, buddy. And then John says, you're original a Yankee. You're original. Yeah, I'm originally a Yankee too. Yeah, I'm an Indiana guy, but I've been here 30 years, so I'm all in. I have a little Southern drawl, and I'm one of the locals now. But yeah, so good stuff. And John, maybe if you're still listening, you have some ideas on training 15 guys on inspection. John's one of our instructors too at CSIA, and just does a great job. And I've always been impressed with John's training in his building of his people. And he trains his office staff very much like he trains his technicians. He makes them do very similar things, breaking out tiles and climbing up on scaffolding and doing all those things. So I really like the way John trains and the way he takes it so seriously. And most of you know this, but John takes training so seriously because before he didn't take it very seriously. He thought he knew enough until he figured out he didn't know enough, which is wisdom. But yeah, and then he took that on as a new mission for him, and he's doing an amazing job with it. John says, the only reason why I have a nice truck is because of you. Oh, thank you. Should have seen the trucks I drove before I went to Blue Collar University. Yeah, John was a great student several years ago. And, he ran a different business. And the main thing about Blue Collar when you come is I just kind of show you a different version. I don't try to tell you what to do. I don't say you have to do these things. I see what you want. You see what I've done. And is there some commonality in there? Can I help you get there? Because sometimes it's just like if you're a pro baseball player and you went and you saw a kid playing T-League, and I'm not saying I'm pro in John's T-League. I don't mean that. But if you're watching them, you're like, oh, well, you know what? If you just lower your elbow a little bit and get this one back, and when you step a little further into, I don't know, I don't play baseball clearly, but you could tell them some things that you're doing wrong. Like, hey, don't focus on this, but focus on this. This will give you the most bang. That's what I do at Blue Collar. Is John had a very serious operation going and very busy and had a big name. And I just said, hey, look at some things a little differently. Maybe try this. Don't do that. Do more of this. And it's been good for John. And I will say, I've got a pretty good track record of helping people, get to where they want to go. John Caesar says you hit the nail on the head with the trickle down training not working. Yes, one person training one person training everyone is the best way, right? You're taking it from the guy who's got the most knowledge and disseminating it all at the same time. That when I train you and then you train somebody and you train somebody, that's a watered down mess down there, 3 or 4 versions down the road. So and it comes up and it shocks you because you're like, who the hell, why did you do that? What? Well, he told me to do that. We've always done that. We've never done that. It's like that kind of conversation. So when we try to do training, we always try to bring it back to the source. And SureFire helps with that because you can watch people take the tests. You can watch people take the quizzes. You can watch them mess up. And you know that they got the training from the source, whoever that may be that's doing the training. John says quality control, extra eyes looking over every job is must. Yes, especially at the beginning, right? When you send guys out, that's where you've got to have really good quality control. And we have dedicated people that go out so many times a week and check, especially new technicians, check the work. Customers love it. They love when somebody shows up. And as an owner, if your first step out of the field would be into doing sales and quality control. Make sure these guys are doing it the way you want it. That's your first step out of the truck until you move into the office. Don't go from the truck to the office and not have a quality control handing the baton kind of process, or you will have a messy looking company in about 2 years. Thank you, John. And then Josh says, I'm going to get shot for this, but I've always been a firm believer in the office coming out to see what it's all about. I'm going to stay out of the office tomorrow. No, those girls love it. We send them out several times, and they're about due to go out again. We send them out with them, and they always get a lot more respect. They understand it better. They're not just looking at the computer, looking at squares and rectangles and go, well, why didn't they get this job then? Well, you weren't there. You didn't see what they had to deal with. But Josh, you're totally right. And when we get you a full-time office manager up there, take her out there, take him out there with you. We've done that with all of our other offices and branches for sure. And then Josh says, I agree on the one-person training. John Caesar, attaboy. Yeah, good stuff. Man, great information tonight. I might have to do this every night. Just open it up and let's just talk. Next week, though, I do have Rich Sedgwick from NFI. He is going to talk about NFI. He's the executive director for NFI, which is the training side. A lot of people are very familiar with NFI, but if you're not, he took over from another guy this year, and he's doing a great job. And he's also in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's a pretty tough guy too. And but nice as can be. And he's going to be on the show next week talking about NFI. John says office must be involved. All my office is CSI certified. They've all broken tiles, installed liners, flipped chimneys, etc. They have to understand what's happening. Yeah. And that's such a good point, because I think it gives them grace too, right? Sometimes when you're sitting in that office, you can be pretty judgmental. You can be pretty hard on people, when you're speaking from the air-conditioned seated position. And like today, we've trying to figure out why a job didn't get finished. We put a chase cover on, and then 2 of those really big copper pots. And the technician got up there, and it wasn't a prefab. It was actually a chase cover over masonry, but it was really a tough ladder setup, and it was really the only way to do it. And he got up there and he put one of them on. He put the easy one on, and he felt scared to put the one where he had to reach for it on, which I agree. Should have put the one you had to reach on before there was one right in your face. But I'm quarterbacking it from the position, and we're all saying, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And we got up there and did this. I'm like, how about if we don't say that, and we'll get out there tomorrow and get it wrapped up, and then make a determination if the technician was wrong, or we're air conditioning quarterbacking this thing from our position on high over here. I I really try to tell people not to do that. So to your point, it helps the people understand and give more grace on each side. It's also not bad when the technicians come in and listen to what the girls have to do in the office, catching all those freaking slings and arrows from the customers because our guy didn't call them when they were on their way or didn't finish up the bid and send it to them or whatever the problem is. John says, oh, hold on. John White says, Mark, that drone video you did through the house and up outside house showing all your guys working, who did that video for you? Can I hire them? That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Thank you, John. I loved it. I loved the way it turned out. I got the idea from watching a drone video from a Milwaukee bowling lane a few years ago. If you look up Milwaukee bowling alley drone, you'll see where I got the idea. And I saw that a few years ago. I'm like, wow, in just a couple minutes, I could see what it was like to be in that bowling alley. And that bowling alley blew up in a good way. Like so many people it just flooded the place because everybody wanted to go there. And I'm like, I bet I could do that with the chimneys and show all the different services we provide. Like kind of walk in the house and see everything we can do for you. So I made that transition in my mind. The first thing I did was I reached out to a local drone group on Facebook and asked if somebody could do a drone video like this video because they all knew it. And everybody's pointing to this one guy, Josh. He's at the time, one of the top 50 drone pilots in the US. So then I have another company called Cumberland Creative. And yes, they will travel and do these. Cumberland Creative directed it. So they came to my house. We wanted it all in one shot. So we had to walk. I showed all my different services set up. And then I wanted it one shot with no editing, no cuts. There's definitely editing fast and slow. And the sound design was because all that sound that you hear is not real because the drone is going, through the whole house. So we had to silence that and add all the conversations and all the talking in later as a different thing. But itself, it was a one-shot deal. He flew from the street and we just planned it out, how he could hit everything, multiple times. I'll show all of our services at once. And the only thing we couldn't show was a dryer vent without a cut. So we left dryer vents out. So thank you for that. It was quite a bit of planning, a couple of years of getting everybody lined up. And then I brought the drone pilot over and the director and we walked it out. And then that day we did probably 10 dry takes to get everybody in the position. They had radios telling everybody, okay, you're partying, you're doing this, here comes the drone, because the guys in the truck that were driving up had no idea where the drone was. So, we had to cue them and we had to cue everybody to do their thing. And then Michael Beach from Cumberland Creative directed that and did a great job. So great to work with. And the guy flying it was sitting at my kitchen table with the VR goggles on. He was just sitting there in his own world doing this whole thing. And it was fascinating to watch. And so they pulled it off. So we did probably 10 practice takes and probably 8 real live takes before we got the right one. It was a little windy. So a couple times the drone ran into people or when it flew through the front door, it ran into my guy sitting there because the wind caught it. And these aren't automated level drones. He has to do every single part all the time. It's that controllable. And so I got a great drone pilot. I had a vision for what it was going to be. And then I got a director to put it all together. And it worked out really cool. We've gotten a lot of comments for that. So thank you. John Caesar says they don't balk at giving high prices on the phone anymore once they understand how it's going. Yeah, what's going into it. Yeah, no kidding. I totally believe that. John White says, I don't know if you have time on this show to show that video everyone right now, but it's absolutely amazing. It's on my Facebook page. I am running out of time. I'm a little bit over. I will show it. I will show it next week. Thank you for that. It's on my Facebook page if you want to look it up, Mark Stoner or Ashbusters. And thank you for that. It was a lot of planning. It was neat to see it finally pull out. I will tell you the things that didn't work that I tried to do. One, when the drone flew up, I was trying to get it to fly through the cab of my technicians. I wanted to fly right through there before they got out and out the window. Well, it's too windy and he couldn't hit the window and fly through because then we had to settle for the guy getting out of the truck. But I wanted him to fly right through there and see the guys talking and it come right by their face. We couldn't pull that off. Then we came in the door. I wanted, when we went outside to the grill area, I wanted it to fly. I wanted the grill guy to open up the grill and it to fly under his arm right over the hamburgers and hot dogs and then over the fire pit. Well, the wind was still kind of and the heat coming off the grill moved it, and it was crashing right there. So we pulled that and had it run outside. And then when we flew that drone over that fire pit, the wind shoving it down, well, you couldn't tell the drone was already by, but the wind shoving that fire down made the fire come way out to the people that were sitting there. It pushed the fire down and pushed it out, and then it came back. So there's a few kind of crazy things on that drone shot that we did. At the end, you see a person riding a bike. That was totally by accident. It was just a neighbor coming by, but then we put a little bell sound on that bike that wasn't really there. So it act like he was saying hello, but he really wasn't. He was just driving by. And then we followed the truck out and then went up in the sky, kind of like we were going to the next house. So that was the inspiration for it. I'm glad we pulled it off. It was really neat to see it. And then Josh says, I hurt my back 15 years ago and I was out of work for a bit. I begged to come back to work and they offered for me to be in the office. I did it for 3 days, said, okay, I'll stay home. The office staff gets hammered. They don't get enough credit for what they do. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I would have a hard time being in there. In fact, I don't even really stay in an office. I don't have an office. I have one office, but I have multiple businesses. I don't have an office in any of them. I like to just be mobile. And most of the work I do, I end up doing it at home. And so I work from home, and then I don't really need an office at the place. But sitting in an office for me, it's if I got to get something done, I will. But on a daily basis, it's just not how I'm wired. So, and it does make you more appreciative. Those people on the phone saying, yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, we'll make it right. I know it was snowing today and it snowed the last time. I know John Caesar doesn't care about snow. They go through it. But in Tennessee, it's like a job wrecker for us. But, they're on the bleeding edge of that. So, all right, guys, we're a little over an hour. Alan says, what's your thoughts on Yahtzee programmers? So Alan, we had a meeting earlier today and goes, I'm going to share something with you guys. And, I'm not sure I should, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm in like this professional Yahtzee league and I play it once an hour on the weekends. And we have this algorithm we did. I'm like, you play professional Yahtzee in a club, Yahtzee in a club, I think is what he said. And I had to give him all kinds of crap. So anyway, I love you, Alan. Appreciate you. All right, guys, that's our time. I didn't get into my vision talk like I was going to. I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you the video anyway. I like this video. It was by Jordan Peterson, one of my favorite guys. And I want to show you this because it just rang so much truth in your vision. And I'll leave with that. So let me get this planned up. Here he is. Get me out of here.
Nothing more practical than developing a vision. It's not some pie in the sky exercise. It's without a vision, you're chaotic and fragmented and hopeless and disappointed, and someone can stop you just by putting up a single obstacle. You're a house divided amongst itself. You have no forward movement. You're not enthusiastic, and that's to be filled with the Spirit of God, by the way. And your life is a sequence of disappointments and frustrations and tragedies, and you're a leaf blowing in the wind. And that is not what you're called to be. That's not what you're called to be. You're called to be a visionary constructor of the paradisal vision. Really, that's who you are. Terrible as that is to apprehend. We already will lose everything we have to lose.
Yeah.
Right? We're all in this game, man. So there's, whether you want it to be this way or not, you are betting everything on your life. There is nothing more practical than developing a...
Man, that just spoke to me. I think probably because I'm getting a little older. But man, yeah, you're all in on this thing, right? We're betting our life on it. And I think it also gives you a bit of clarity and also a bit of grace and a bit of, step back, but also focus on, the other day, my son, I shouldn't say it, it's probably about a year ago. That's how we are when we're over. Like the other day, 5 years ago, but the other day, a year ago, my son was not going to be able to come in to Christmas. He had some other plans. He wanted to do something with his friends. And I said, yeah, I understand. I said, but I just want you to know, I'm 55 at the time. We probably have maybe 25 good Christmases left. So, maybe you could make it for the Christmas. And he's like, oh, wow, you didn't have to pull that card on the 25 Christmases left thing. So anyway, it was, to me, the vision helps everybody in the company. And if they believe in your vision, it helps them have focus. It helps them row with not as much management, not as much time from you. If they believe in the vision, they can act on their own. They don't need to be managed. They can go. They know what the clear vision is, and you can have a more free life if you set the vision that they believe in, giving them the tools, giving them the ability to make the living they want to make, the life they want to make under your vision and process. That's the main thing. Vision, culture, execution. Vision is clear. It's the thing you got to have. Now, if you don't really do well at execution, you just become a visionary and like, yeah, he's got all these ideas, never does it. You got to have the culture part for the people who will pull and believe in that vision. And lastly, you got to have a good execution team, and you got to be good at executing. When you say something, you get it done, you push it all the way through till it either works or it fails. That's what execution is. That's the one thing I'm actually pretty good at is a vision. I want to build culture, but my other thing is the execution of the vision. And that helps get a lot of stuff done and gives you momentum. All right, guys, that's my time. Fantastic talk. Thank you so much for being in. We had a lot of people on, and a lot of people hung in the whole time, even though I rambled for an hour and 11 minutes. Hope you guys got a lot from it. I need addresses for people I'm sending these to. Ian, James, I need yours for this one. And then I got a couple of them. Facebook Messenger, maybe you already have. I got 2 shirts, 2 SureFire shirts. Give me your size, address, name, and I got one more SureFire hat, which is this one, to give to you guys. So, all right, guys, thanks. Have a good night. Talk to you soon.